The road through Galilee, the sun was climbing over the hills of Galilee, burning gold through the morning mist. Dust rose from the narrow path where hundreds followed him, the teacher from Nazareth, the man who spoke like fire and healed like mercy itself. They came from every village, fishermen, shepherds, mothers holding children, beggars leaning on sticks. Some came for curiosity, some for hope, but in all their faces was the same question. Could he really see me? Could he love me too? Jesus walked slowly among them, his robe brushing the ground, his eyes full of quiet strength. He was not surrounded by guards or gold, only by need and by faith. Teacher, a man cried from the crowd, "My daughter is dying." The people stepped back. It was Jairus, a leader of the synagogue, wealthy, respected, cautious. He fell to his knees before Jesus, his voice breaking like glass. "Come, lay your hands on her, and she will live." Jesus reached out his hand. "Lead the way," he said. And so they went, the crowd pressing in, the dust thick, the murmurs rising. The woman who touched his garment among the crowd was another, a woman who had been bleeding for 12 years. Her face was pale, her body weak, her spirit weary of rejection. She had spent all she had on physicians, and none could heal her. But that day, when she heard that Jesus was passing, something inside her refused to give up. "If I can just touch the hem of his cloak," she whispered, "I will be healed." The crowd was wild, pushing, shouting, following every step he made. She fell once, twice, but her faith kept her moving. When she finally reached him, her trembling fingers brushed the edge of his robe, and instantly the flow of blood stopped. Strength returned like light into her bones. Jesus stopped walking. "Who touched me?" The disciples looked around, confused. "Master, the crowd is pressing you on every side." But Jesus turned, his eyes searching. "Someone touched me. Power has gone out from me." The woman fell to her knees, trembling. "It was I, Lord," she whispered. "I touched you because I believed." And Jesus, smiling, said softly, "Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace." The crowd fell silent. Jairus' men looked on in wonder. The woman stood, tears of joy shining in her eyes. Faith had reached what fear could not. The centurion's request, they walked again toward Jairus' house. But along the way came a Roman centurion, a foreigner, a soldier of the empire that ruled them. The people drew back in suspicion. He bowed low before Jesus, armor gleaming in the sun. "Lord," he said, "my servant lies at home paralyzed, in great suffering." The air grew tense. The Jews despised the Romans, and the Romans mocked the Jews. Yet this soldier's voice trembled with humility. "I will come and heal him," Jesus said. But the centurion raised his hand. "No, Lord, I am not worthy for you to enter under my roof, but only say the word, and my servant will be healed. For I, too, am a man under authority. I say to one, 'Go,' and he goes. To another, 'Come,' and he comes. Speak, and it will be done." Jesus looked at him in astonishment. Then he turned to the crowd and said, "Truly I tell you, I have not found such great faith in all Israel." And to the centurion he said, "Go, let it be done just as you believed." At that moment, miles away, the servant rose from his bed, healed. The people whispered among themselves, struggling to understand. The Roman had found favor, not because of his nation nor his power, but because of his faith. The cry of a Canaanite woman. Days later, Jesus traveled near Tyre and Sidon, lands of foreigners. There, a Canaanite woman came running toward him, her voice sharp with pain. "Lord, Son of David, have mercy on me. My daughter is tormented by a demon." The disciples urged him, "Send her away. She keeps crying after us." Jesus turned and said gently, "I was sent only to the lost sheep of Israel." But she knelt before him, tears in her eyes. "Lord, help me." "It is not right," Jesus said, "to take the children's bread and throw it to the dogs." Her voice broke, but did not falter. "Yes, Lord, but even the dogs eat the crumbs that fall from their master's table." For a moment, silence. Then Jesus smiled, a radiant, knowing smile that pierced the air. "Woman, great is your faith. Let it be done for you as you desire." And her daughter was healed that very hour. The disciples stood stunned. Once again, it was faith, not bloodline, not title, not appearance, that opened the gates of heaven. The lesson in the wind that evening, as they crossed the lake, the storm rose, sudden and fierce. The waves crashed, the boat trembled, and fear gripped their hearts. "Lord, save us. We are perishing," the disciples cried. Jesus rose, the wind whipping his hair. "Why are you afraid, O you of little faith?" He stretched out his hand. "Peace, be still." The storm fell silent. The sea became calm as glass, and in that stillness, their hearts learned again. Faith was not a feeling. It was trust. Trust that the one who commands the sea can also calm the soul. The leper who returned days later, 10 lepers met him at the border of Samaria. Their skin was white and torn. Their voices cracked with sickness. "Jesus, Master, have mercy on us," they shouted from afar. Jesus said, "Go, show yourselves to the priests." And as they went, they were cleansed. But only one, a Samaritan, a foreigner, turned back. He fell at Jesus' feet, weeping with gratitude. Jesus said, "Were not 10 cleansed? Where are the 9? Rise and go. Your faith has made you whole." The others had received healing, but he, the one who returned, received wholeness. The widow's offering in the temple courts. Jesus watched the rich dropping gold coins into the treasury. Their garments shone with embroidery, their hands perfumed and proud. Then came a widow, old, frail, alone. She placed 2 tiny copper coins into the box. Jesus called his disciples and said, "Truly I tell you, this poor widow has put in more than all the others. They gave out of their abundance. She, out of her poverty, gave all she had." Faith was not in what she possessed, but in what she was willing to surrender. The thief on the cross at last came the darkest hour. The sky turned black. The earth shook. Upon the hill of Calvary stood 3 crosses. On the center cross hung Jesus, bruised, bleeding, crowned with thorns. On either side, 2 criminals gasped their final breaths. One hurled insults. "If you are the Messiah, save yourself and us." But the other turned his head and whispered, "Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom." And Jesus, his voice soft yet filled with eternity, said, "Truly I tell you, today you will be with me in paradise." The thief had nothing, no good deeds, no reputation, no time left to prove himself. But he had faith, and that was enough. After the resurrection, when the tomb was found empty, fear and joy collided in the hearts of his followers. But one Thomas refused to believe. Unless I see the nail marks and touch his side, I will not believe." 8 days later, Jesus appeared before them. He turned to Thomas and said, "Put your finger here. See my hands. Do not doubt, but believe." Thomas fell to his knees. "My Lord and my God." Jesus smiled, not in rebuke but in love. "You believe because you have seen. Blessed are those who have not seen and yet believe." That blessing stretched through time to the woman who touched his robe, the Roman who trusted his word, the widow who gave her last coin, and every heart since that dares to believe. The eternal truth faith is not reserved for the perfect. It is the door through which anyone, sinner or saint, rich or poor, Jew or Gentile, may enter the kingdom. The bleeding woman, the foreign soldier, the Canaanite mother, the repentant thief, none of them were holy in the eyes of men. Yet all of them believed, and that belief moved heaven itself, even now. In the quiet corners of the world, in hospital rooms, empty churches, crowded cities, Jesus still whispers the same words. Your faith has made you whole. He does not ask for perfection, but for trust. Not for worthiness, but for willingness. Not for proof, but for faith. And when that faith reaches out, trembling, unseen, desperate, yet sincere, it touches the hem of his robe once more, because his love does not measure the believer. It simply blesses the one who believes.